Step right up, it's nailed. A Halo by Halo journey through the music of Nine Inch Nails. I'm Blake.
I'm Jessica.
And this is Halo 17 and All That Could Have Been, Part 2, the DVD concert movie. Man, damn it. Oscar fucked it up. Concert movie. So what does that entail, Jessica? What are we talking about?
So we are going to be talking about a little bit more about the Fragility Tour, like about Trent's plans and vision for it. But a lot of it's going to be like production, a little bit about art, and then just kind of our thoughts about the DVD, the actual visuals and stuff.
Because we did watch it basically twice in a row.
Mm-hmm. The second time might have been on 1.5 speed.
Some of it was on 1.5, which we discovered was very, very funny.
Very entertaining.
Very TikTokable.
Before we dive into that, do we have any Nine Inch news?
So everything is in the news today.
I have real quick 9 Inch news, just very briefly so that we have plenty of time to talk about the DVD.
Mm-hmm.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross did a reimagining of a Puscifer track, Apocalyptical, not a remix, a reimagining. Mm-hmm. And it's like 11 fucking minutes long. But as I was listening, it's kind of like a 12-inch dance mix almost. Mm-hmm. Long form, put it in the club. I think it could be a good, nice to vibe out to if you got 12 minutes to vibe or clean the house or whatever you want to do. But I think that's all.
That's
it's cool.
About it.
Go check it out.
Yeah. Okay. So before we move on, I just want to talk about some things that Reznor discussed to various magazines about what he wanted Fragility to be. And I guess you could say this is really the first of the high-tech tours that they would become more known for with their later touring, wouldn't you say?
Right. Fancy light trickery screen stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff on screens. And then they kind of stopped doing that, but that's way later.
Lots of interesting lighting. I mean, things like that other bands weren't necessarily doing as often or putting a lot of thought behind, maybe. And he also involves himself basically in every facet, whereas I'm sure there are other artists who are this, into it as well. But I think most of the time, like, artists would probably just let their production team handle it and not necessarily get as hands-on. Yeah. But he once said that everything in Nine Inch Nails is very precious. He wants to keep it that way. And so I think that being involved in every aspect helps him maintain control of, like, the image and what he wants to project. And
control freak, Yeah. It's just what he is.
Look, I'm a Taurus, and if there's something someone wants me to do and I don't want to do it, I ain't going to do it. So you better let me be involved.
Very stubborn, I can attest.
So Reznor told Kerrang! Just about what he kind of wanted the show to kind of, why he put a lot of thought into the show, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And he said, I don't want to do the standard rock band in a hockey arena show. I want to up the par a little bit. I think our stage show has a lot of thought put into it. It's not like a Korn or Rob Zombie show where they just go into the prop cupboard, and pull out as much shit as they can.
You can tell he was a theater kid.
I hope when people see our shows, they go, fuck, that was smarter than that Korn tour I saw, but not in a pretentious way. It kicked ass.
Yeah.
On our previous tour, the audience was our enemy, but this time around, we're best friends with the audience at the end of shows. Everyone's connected. Did you get the vibe that the audience was the enemy at all?
Was he referring to Self-Destruct Tour, the audience was the enemy?
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering what he meant by that. Just that they seemed very hostile toward, just as part of the act. Openly hostile toward the audience?
I would say so.
Yeah. That kind of tracks, sure.
Yeah. I mean, the audience was pretty aggressive as well.
Yeah.
Just a very, what's the word I'm looking for to describe those shows? Chaotic.
Yeah. This was much more controlled chaos with Fragility.
I would say in some ways, yes.
TDS was more out of control chaos. And then like previous stuff, like Pretty Hate Machine Tour, just like lo-fi, unprofessional chaos.
Yeah. So in January of 2000, he was talking to Alyssa Blake from Rolling Stone Australia. And so at this point, they've been doing Fragility 1.0. They haven't started 2.0 yet. Mm-hmm. So they've done like their European and Japan and some Australian dates, And so Reznor said, So we were preparing for the Europe, Japan, Australian tour. We knew that the format would be a little greatest hits package oriented. It wasn't going to be all focused on the album. It's going to be very well-rounded from our whole career.
Our whole, 10-year career at that point.
I think in hindsight, that was a good move for us because we got to Europe and we're getting back into the groove of things and how things were. The plan now is as soon as we finish with Big Day Out and go back to the States and go into production rehearsals for 3 weeks of an entirely different show that is in the States and is pretty large in terms of length. It's an arena tour. My hope is for it to be a lot more album-oriented and to get people a chance to get more familiar with the new record and a bit more experimental. I think that the show we're doing now is a little bit on the safe side, or it's on the what you might expect side. So I want to challenge people through a variety of what we're playing, how we're presenting it, and the production and presentation I'm very involved in.
Some of the things weren't so safe, like trying things out like No You Don't, that they decided didn't work and then scrapped, and Into the Void as well.
So she asked him if he's got it all planned out, referring to the American leg of the tour. And he said, no, it's not all planned out. There's some vague ideas. We've got a new lighting director who was Pink Floyd's lighting designer.
Oh, it needed more lasers, but that explains some things.
Yeah. And we've had several meetings in terms of what he's presented in terms of material. On the first Nine Inch Nails tour, we just had white lights sitting on the floor behind us, and you couldn't see anything. You couldn't see what we looked like, and it added a kind of confrontation to the show. True.
Audience is the enemy.
And that's what the show was all about. At one point, there was almost a cage in front of us. It was all about trying to present a rock band in a slightly different way, or trying to have the production provide a different framework for the music.
Okay.
So Rolling Stone in April wrote a little write-up that was a preview of the tour. And Reznor, they're talking about how he's involved with every aspect of planning the tour, which is what you might expect from someone who took, 2-3 years to record his album?
Right.
Yeah.
Perfectionist.
Exactly. In the studio, I'm in fine art mode. I do purely what appeals to me and don't try to cater to an audience. In a live situation, I put myself in the seat of the fans. So that's interesting. Like when I'm recording, I don't care what anyone thinks. But
I mean, yeah, because they're paying good money and they're showing up, which is a lot.
$25 on a CD was not cheap.
I know, but it's easier to listen to a record. I mean, he still wants to make a good record, but
I know.
Studio's a different mode. I don't know.
So they talk a little bit about working with Mark Brickman, who was the Pink Floyd lighting designer. And Reznor said, we're trying something never done before, using LCD monitors as lights rather than image projectors. There's a good level of being unsure of what we're about to do. If I felt too confident, I'd be playing it safe. He says that about a lot of things. He warns the magazine not to take the Pink Floyd parallel too far, though. It's not so much of a narrative theme as something like The Wall.
They're not building any walls.
The similarities are more in terms of pacing, climaxes, peaks and valleys, moments of restraint leading up to bigger moments of assault.
Assault's a good way of putting, the restraint of the middle section followed by the assault of Wish immediately after.
Yes.
Sure.
Or even the assault of Gave Up right before you go into
it's two
La Mer. Yeah.
Broken, violent bangers.
Yeah, I love how some of the most beautiful moments on The Fragile are surrounded
They're
by
sandwiched
some of the,
by the angry songs. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I just wanted to read some of his thoughts about why he was planning the tour out the way he was and why he wants to be so heavily involved in it, and then just like his plans for it. And so we can talk about that and see if it kind of lived up to what he was wanting. To promote the tour, one of the things they did was there was an MTV2 special. And this special was pretty cool. I watched it for the first time recently. You watched it today, right?
Yeah, I remember. I think I watched it when it was new.
Yeah.
I just didn't have much memory of it.
Yeah. So this features music videos from Nine Inch Nails and from Perfect Circle, since they were the opening group. I think there was only one video from them, though, right? Yeah.
They showed the Judith video.
Yeah. There were clips from Fragility 1.0.
Right, where they have, speaking of building walls, they do have like the big scrim or curtain in front of them for like half of the somewhat damaged, which they were starting with, and then they eventually pull it away.
Yeah. There are clips from sound checks, and there's also like brief interviews with Reznor and the band members.
And some of those are pretty good.
So Blake kind of made a short little list of items that he wanted to play, just little highlights from that special.
This isn't necessarily about the Fragility tour, but it was in this MTV2 special, and I really like this clip. If you go to 1 hour, 12 minutes, 30 seconds.
When I was growing up, I put aluminum foil on my tennis shoes and dressed up like Gene Simmons and marched in the Halloween parade, you know, and when I come in contact with fans, I keep in mind most of the people that I was in awe of, I've met, and most of them suck, you know, or they let you down somehow. I don't know what, not all of them, but, you know, for every David Bowie, there's 50 of the other kind, you know, that you go, oh, that's not really, you know.
Don't meet your heroes. That's why Trent will never be on this podcast. I don't want to be disappointed.
Yeah, it's not that he said no.
It's not that he never said anything because he never talked to us.
That's right.
Okay, go to an hour 30. I really like this is a wise observation from Trent. And that's just a great screech.
I don't talk much about my private life. Not that I have one, but if I did have one, I wouldn't say much about it. Because it's kind of seeing behind the curtain, you know. You see, it's Wizard of Oz, and you see a little guy mooking, you know, working the machinery back there. It's not... I have I think, a fairly well-rounded grasp on the reality of where I'm at, you know, and sometimes I read stuff about myself and I think, oh my God, you know, and I have to call my grandpa up and say, look, it's not really true, you know. But there's something cool about the mystique and the manipulation through the media and things like that.
I love that he compared himself to the little guy behind the curtain in Wizard of Oz.
I think he's made that comparison a couple of times before.
Is it something to do with his height?
No.
I can't even remember if that guy was short or not, but he did say little.
Well, I mean, compared to the giant head.
Yeah, okay.
Image that was projected.
But yeah, there's a reason for him not being a huge, outspoken public figure, you know? Not putting his life on a reality show. There's a method to it. At an hour 37, there's something very relevant to the tour.
Okay.
And just, I really like this. This hit me right in the heart.
Okay.
And then there's something immediately followed by something really funny.
Do you get nervous like before you go on stage?
Do I look nervous?
Not really.
How much time do we have?
He's acting jittery.
Oh, yeah, I do. I mean, once we get rolling a bit more, I'm not as nervous. But the first few shows of this tour, I was close to throwing up right before we went on. Like, just that feeling like I think I might vomit right now. I had that same feeling when we did the MTV Awards. Because we had in-ear monitors, which I never use or will use again. And that's like having a fishbowl over your head. Plus, we're behind a screen that you can kind of see through, and you can't hear what anyone's saying. And then someone goes, that's Johnny Depp on stage. He's introducing you. Ready? And I thought, I gotta loosen my collar, I'm gonna vomit right now. So, but I didn't, luckily.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
British
Nine Inch Nails.
I kind of like what Reznor doesn't maybe remember, or has maybe forgotten, is that fans get nervous before shows too. Nah. Have you never been? I
do. No, I do.
I don't know if it's like my social anxiety or if I just get so excited that I work myself up into like this. I feel like right before there are big shows, like before Phoebe, I felt nauseous. Well, that was our first pandemic outing.
Yeah,
when we went and saw Phoebe,
there was that whole layer to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of the most exciting things a human could do. So it gets the heart rate going, you know, it's normal.
Yeah. But I just want to say your fans are also out there some of them are feeling kind of nauseous and like they might throw up also just because they're so excited. It's a different, it's just two different sides. You know what I mean? Like of the same.
And non-anxious people don't. They are probably at feeling amazing. But
I don't know.
For us anxious people, that really spoke to me. I wanted to give him a hug, and I'm not normally like that.
Yeah.
Like, I sometimes feel like I'm going to vomit if I have to talk to people at work.
I mean, if I have to email someone I've never emailed before, I'm like, oh, dear Christ, how do I do this? I hate it.
Oh, he seems, so very cool and collected, but...
He's also human. We're all just an act.
Yeah, and the MTV, the live show, that must have been horrifying, especially That was
only the second time they'd ever performed on TV live.
You mean other than Dance Party USA?
Yes.
Well, and that wasn't really performing, but still.
Yeah. I mean, I don't count like Mudstock. I guess I could, but.
And then the comment, "I'll never use in-ear monitors again." very funny, obviously, because now it's the industry standard and it's just the way they do it now.
But just real quick, back to what I was saying, though, about feeling excited and making yourself sick. My niece did the same thing right before her first concert. And she's not an anxious kid at all.
No.
I mean, she probably has the normal amount of nervousness, but...
Kids don't really get anxiety like adults do either. Well, they get anxiety, but...
Hopefully they've been not exposed to the existential horribleness of the world yet that will contribute to their crippling anxiety as an adult. But anyway, she was just like in the car, like, saying like, oh my God, I think I'm going to hurl. Because she was it was her first concert. And she was so excited. And she's like, I'm going to be in the same room as Brandon Flowers. That's insane. And I remember feeling the same way like the first time I saw my first concert, Bush, because I was in love with Gavin Rossdale. And like my best friend Eric and I were just like, oh my God, I'm going to vomit.
That'll raise the anxiety, being in the presence of whoever your fangirl crushes.
Oh, yeah. So I always get very excited, and which makes me want to throw up before concerts. Almost every concert. There are concerts I've been to that I don't really care about, but it's because I don't go to a ton of shows because we don't live in an area anyway, like where a lot of bands come to Springfield anymore.
Yeah.
So going to shows is always a big deal. So it's always an artist that I like really, really, really like. It's not going to be someone I'm just like, they're in town, I'll go check them out.
If you do one every weekend, it probably doesn't faze you at all.
Yeah.
But for us, Midwestern hayseeds,
as chillbillies of the Brozarks.
we don't get a lot of big acts in this here town.
Do you have any more clips you want to share?
Nope, that was my last one.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do mine so I don't forget them.
Okay.
So this is very early in the tour, and I think it's just Trent talking about starting the North American tour.
Right now we're at the first phase of the U.S. tour, and it's even though we've been on tour for a long time, well, not a long time, but several months, going to Europe and everywhere else, it seems like this is like the real tour has started. My feeling on stage has gone from being terror, wondering if, not so much if we're going to play well, because we know what we're doing, but wondering if something's going to fall on our heads, or if
screens,
horrible heavy screens,
the video quits working. And now it's been kind of a feeling of confidence. Like, I can't wait to show you, the audience, what we've got in store.
And then the next clip I picked is I wrote Trent on the first day of tour in Barcelona and what to expect. I'm guessing what to expect for this tour.
Touring has been really I think the main way that anyone's ever found out about Nine Inch Nails. And I think through touring, we've been able to get the message out, and we didn't have to rely on radio or videos to get people to know that we exist. And in the Pretty Hate Machine era, the first album, we toured around the States like 7 times in a van. And I'd find that every time we'd come back, I'd usually see those same people and their friends would come, and it just kept kind of growing.
Charlie Clouser, I wrote on Trent's signature stage moves.
Ah, yes. Is this the rodeo roundup?
I think so. I can't remember, but let's see. It's the gang. It's the band
boys
talking.
Trent has this move he does where people get wrapped up in microphone cords and yanked off of their feet. We like to call that rodeo roundup. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't happen, we kind of sit there wondering, why is no one lying on their back, tangled up in cables, getting dragged across the stage? Because that usually is indicative that he's having a good show and that we know there's nothing wrong.
I got 3 stitches here, taking off my guitar.
This is Robin.
It's too fast.
I heard like 6 songs into the set. Robin's head's bleeding. Did I do it? No, he did it himself. Okay.
You can't really see it anymore. It's been a couple of months, but
Danny.
I got 3 stitches here and a bunch of scratches here.
All my scars are on the inside.
We'll take him, put him in a unit, and take him out there.
It's Jerome.
All right.
He probably had a mic stand hurled at his head. He's just holding a bag of ice on it.
I wrote that down too.
Over here.
Ice pack on the head. With EMTs are there. They don't say what happened to him, but I assume because ice pack on the head, he took a mic stand base to the head from Trent.
You never know.
I like how Charlie's like, I've never been injured on stage. I'm up on my own little world on my riser.
Is, right?
No one can touch me. But inner wounds.
Just on the inside, man. All right, so I wrote the dudes on funny things that have happened during the tour so far.
Other than injuries.
Yes. I love how we picked totally different clips for this out of what we wanted to share.
They also show a clip of them playing Get Down, Make Love in the Pretty Hate Machine era, and Trent basically looks like he's trying to kill Richard Patrick. Like
this is a really cool
special.
I mean, you could just fast forward through the music videos, unless you want to rewatch them. I mean, I get it. Because it is about 2 hours long, I think, if you watch with the music videos.
But definitely check it out.
A couple of funny things have happened so far. Somebody hit me with a shirt. I shouldn't even say this because it'll probably encourage this behavior, but I was singing The Day the World Went Away, and the last line, somehow someone threw a t-shirt that completely covered my entire head. And I just left it on and sang the last verse, muffled. It was good, though.
Low pass
Last
filter.
night they figured out how to not just get up on each other's shoulders, but to actually get somebody standing up on somebody's shoulders.
And they're
holding on to the kids' legs, and they're getting these people are completely standing up on top of the crowd.
5 people.
One guy figured it out, and then the rest of them all got it figured out. So it was like this row of 5 skinny dudes in fishnet t-shirts, but they were standing
Early Trents.
free and clear above the audience.
Anyway, those are the clips
audience
that we
is
wanted
becoming
to share.
sentient. They're turning into Voltrons. But yeah, it was interesting when he said, and it's almost like Fragility 1.0 was practice and her warm up, and then he says 2.0. He's upfront about how it feels like the real tour has started, in his words.
Yeah, and they have, different aspects to them that we'll discuss briefly. Now I just want to talk briefly about the crew. I'm not going to talk about every member. If we had the time, I would love to list all the, the different tech crew members and the drivers and I don't know, did they have catering? I have no idea, but I would love to do that.
John Malm. We don't have time to mention John Malm, so move on.
It takes a village. So there's Mark Brickman. According to IMDb, he was the lighting technician. He is a lighting and production designer who's worked with Pink Floyd, Cirque du Soleil. So maybe he worked with Robin once before. Blue Man Group, John Mayer, Whitney Houston, Slipknot, Genesis, and Eminem. Leroy Bennett is the production and lighting designer. He has worked with Nine Inch Nails since the Downward Spiral tour, and he's done several tours with them. Also, he did the Tension tour in 2013, but he's done a lot. Lights in the Sky. I think he did Ninja. There's several that were listed on his resume, if you want to go find it. Bill Viola, who did the videos for Fragility 2.0, for La Mer, The Great Below, and The Mark Has Been Made.
Love these.
Yeah, and we'll talk about those when we talk more about the show. David Carson is listed for... well, actually, he's not listed, I think, on the DVD credits because I don't think his work really made it in there because I think it was on Fragility 1.0.
Oh, okay.
The projection screens, I think he did for La Mer, The Great Below, and The Way Out Is Through.
Okay.
So they had one different song there, by the way. They had The Way Out Is Through, not The Mark Has Been Made.
The Way Out Is Through would have been cool to have on this DVD.
And Rob Sheridan and Chris Bird were given credit for the tour video sequence for Closer.
Yeah, it was it was kind of simple, like red, almost blood-like light effects, but pretty cool.
Now, talking about the actual production and art for the DVD itself, the physical DVD, direction and editing and director of photography, Rob Sheridan.
Let's go, Rob. It's his first big project, I guess.
That's right. So, additional mini DV filming. Keith Hillebrandt. You might have heard
he
that
was
name
out there
before.
with the little camera?
Was out there with the little camera. Mike Gomez, Chris Kanzi, and also Charlie Clouser is credited. So
interesting.
I wonder if there were times when he wasn't performing.
They're like, you don't play anything for a while in this song. Why don't you just make yourself useful? Take a camera and walk around the stage. There aren't. It's more seemingly from the audience than from the stage on this particular concert movie.
Yeah. So what they used these Canon XL1 mini DV cameras, and that's what they used to film each night of the tour from multiple positions. And Blake and I were talking, and we both had versions of this. I had an actual Canon.
Yeah, mine was a cheaper one than a Canon. I forget which one. Yeah. But essentially, they used consumer grade, and it looks... It has a lo-fi look to it for sure, but I think it works.
Yeah, it does for what they're wanting, which is, I believe, just for the audience experience.
Yeah, and sound is really good, and obviously the 5.1.
Yeah, and that was mixed later. I mean, they used it from various shows. Everything is pulled from different shows. It's not like one night. But yeah, I had the actual Canon. I got it for Christmas one year. I was a film major when I first started at MSU. Because, MSU is known for churning out the greats like,
right.
Like, the Lynches and the Burtons of the world.
They all went to MSU.
It's not
Missouri
AFI,
State.
it's Missouri State.
So you got that so that you could make your Reservoir Dogs or whatever?
That's right. Yeah. But I did use it for one film project.
I had one toward the end of high school. I'm pretty sure I got it with my money saved working at the movie theater, but I used it in at least one AV class in high school project.
Yeah. Ours was, we had to create a fake video channel for a production class, or not a video channel, sorry. We had to create a fake cable channel. Did you do that?
I had that same class. I remember that project.
It was like Media 120 or something.
I don't think we made any content.
We did, and we won.
Oh, of course.
Because you didn't have to take the final if you won. Like the class voted, and we were like, And so we made fake TV shows for our fake channel. Mm-hmm. And one of them was, we used my friend, best friend from high school. Beth was a notorious slob, and I had a key to her apartment, and we had a fake
Cribs.
Like True Hollywood Story.
Oh,
it was like that.
Just say Cribs.
It was, our channel was the B movie channel. It was just called B.
Okay.
It was like exploitation and just B movie films and things like that.
That'd be a good channel.
Yeah, thank you. This is why we won. It was all my idea, by the way, because I'm brilliant. But we made a fake like B type True Hollywood Story, and we had a friend lay down on the floor in her apartment because it was so dirty, like pizza boxes on the floor. I'm talking filthy.
So like hoarders.
Yes. Well, not that bad, but
little human-shaped hole in the floor where they sleep.
He lay down on the floor, and we were filming him to look like, like he's at the lowest point, the bottom of his downward spiral, and her cat comes out of the room and just kind of walks up to him and sniffs, and we all just died laughing because it was perfect.
Ruined the take.
Anyway, that's the only thing I really use that for, because I realized I'm not meant to be a film major.
Well, the same cameras are what made and all that could have been.
Yeah, and my Media 120 project. So.
And by the way, people always wanted this to come out on Blu-ray, which, I mean, they do this. They'll put low-res stuff on Blu-ray, but it is kind of pointless because it was filmed in low definition. So you're not going to get high definition
You're not
out
going to
of
get that much out of it.
Unless you use AI upscaling, which Rob Sheridan did do on a video or two, including Just Like You Imagine, which you can find on his YouTube channel.
That's cool. Video editing facility, Nothing Studios. The entire project was done in-house. According to NIN Wiki, I think they edited with Final Cut Pro and mixed audio with DigiDesign Pro Tools.
I like how you said DigiDesign in front of me.
What? How did I say it wrong?
No. It's just, Pro Tools.
Oh, sorry.
Everyone knows Pro Tools. But yeah, no, it
they
was,
listed both. I didn't know. Maybe that's what it was called in
it was DigiDesign.
2002.
It was DigiDesign forever. Now it's Avid.
So, still photography for the DVD menus, David Carson, Rob Sheridan, and artwork, a name you might have heard before, Russell Mills.
These menus are some of the coolest in DVD history.
They're pretty cool.
Animated, like they change. Every time you go to them, it's like something different. A different music. Like you can go to the main menu multiple times and you'll get different music, different images each time. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
And hidden stuff too.
Yeah. And then they list the tour video sequences, which we talked about, but there was also a tour video sequence for The Wretched Gave Up Complication and Head Like a Hole that was done by Notting Hill. Must be like a production team or something.
Like the movie?
Just like
Hugh
the
Grant?
movie. It was Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts.
Oh, that explains it.
I'm just a girl standing in front of a...
You have me at hello. And show me the money.
I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her. Come on. You've never seen that, have you?
No, I'm a man.
How dare you? Notting Hill is charming.
I know, that was very toxic of me.
It was. It's a charming movie, like a lot of Hugh Grant films, like Four Weddings and a Funeral.
I watched Jerry Maguire with you finally, and I did enjoy it, although it was fucking insane. But also, Mark Pellington plays a character
in it.
Friend of patron Mark Pellington. Not making that up has a pretty funny role in it.
Yeah, he is. I recognize me and it's like, oh my God, is that Mark Pellington?
He's a big man.
Yeah, he's very tall.
Yeah. Like Jerome Dillon. While we're on that topic, he's a tall motherfucker. Especially when you stand him up next to Trent, it looks like the Red Room in Twin Peaks.
That's why Trent had him out. At some point, he's like, we can't.
Trent's like, he wasn't even a drummer before, but Trent's like, you have to be sitting down. So I think we're going to put you on the drums.
It's bad enough I got Robin up here. Okay.
Right.
Not putting you up here either. So talking about just the physical art, I don't want to get too into detail on this because we might discuss it later with a special guest when we do an artwork episode. The photo used for the top half of the DVD cover is taken from inside a bomb shelter that David Carson found at a home he purchased. And
whoa.
Yeah. So this came from a TED Talk he gave called Design and Discovery.
Oh, shit. I want to watch this.
Yeah. I haven't watched it. So I thought we'd watch it before we do our art episode.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
But he did tell a little story about it that came from this TED Talk, and I'll just read it real quick. There was some bomb shelter built apparently in the 60s Cuban Missile Crisis. And I asked the real estate guy what it was as we were walking by, and he goes, it's something to do with the sewage system. I was like, okay, that's fine. I finally went down there, and it was this old rusted circular thing and 2 beds and very kind of creepy and weird. Kind of like that room in Barbarian when she goes in and there's the bed and the bed is like kind of bloody and there's like a bloody handprint maybe on the wall and there's like a bucket and a camera. Oh, yeah.
Unsettling. I wonder if there was a camera in the bomb shelter.
I don't know. And also, surprisingly, it was done in a kind of cheap metal, and it had completely rusted through, and water everywhere, and spiders. And I thought, what were they thinking? You'd think maybe cement, possibly, or something.
David Carson saw this place with all the rust and spiders and shit, and he was like, TDS vibes. Totally using this for 9 Inch Nails.
He said, but anyway, I use this for a cover for the 9 Inch Nails DVD, and I've now fixed the bomb shelter with duct tape, and it's ready. So,
fixed it with duct tape.
Duct tape fixes everything.
The brown rust motif of both the DVD cover and the CD cover.
I think they say that the CD cover is probably, I think NIN Wiki supposes that it's probably the same thing.
Yeah, it looks like a more zoomed in version of that. But it's so ugly, intentionally ugly, which is a very 9 Inch Nails thing to do, at least in that era. And throughout the whole career, really.
I mean, there's some random beauty, like I would say The Day the World Went Away.
Sure. Anything that involves flowers is it's going to be some random beauty. They have 2 modes, rust and flowers. And then the rest of it, it's kind of like the Fragile album art. You have a top segment that's like a third or less than a third. Then the rest of it is something else. And on the DVD, it's just gray.
Yeah. Oh, and there have been like alternate covers. Some of them have like the 9 Inch Nails logo that's kind of similar to the Hesitation Marks era NIN logo.
Corner.
And I think you can see those in David Carson's book, Trek. And one of our patrons shared some of those images because he has the book. I'm not going to say their name for privacy reasons.
I can post some of these too.
Yeah, but they shared them with us in the Discord. So,
and on the DVD, there's a still gallery, not still the album, but still as in still photography, where they show a wall covered in alternate Fragile art. So some of that stuff maybe, I don't know if any of it's alternate DVD art or what, but it's just some interesting stuff. I'll post that too.
Yeah. Now, I thought we could just talk about the major differences between the DVD and the CD other than the format. Like obviously one is only audio and one is visual.
You can see the band on this. Did you know that?
Whoa. So right away, the DVD version starts out with an intro. We have Pinion, the New Flesh.
I like this so much more.
Such a good intro.
That builds energy. It starts out totally dark and you're hearing the New Flesh. The lights start to come up and you hear people freaking out. Pinion's coming in as well. And then the full Terrible Lie intro, followed by blinding lights. Trent is throwing water at the audience. And then the snare drum.
A lot of water throwing at the audience by Trent.
Lots of that.
I like that he appreciates keeping people hydrated and cool.
Trent, we're thirsty. Okay. Stay hydrated for your health.
He was way ahead of the stay hydrated game.
Right.
Yeah. Also, we get La Mer, right?
Yes. Oh, God. So some of my favorite performances from some of my favorite songs are included that aren't on the CD. Complications, awesome and psychedelic. Just Like You Imagined, one of my favorite 9 Inch Nails songs, period. And a great, possibly my favorite performance on this DVD.
Yeah.
There's also the secret songs.
Yes, I haven't talked about the Easter eggs yet, but it does not include a complete live performance of The Day the World Went Away, but the CD does. However, one of the Easter eggs is the video.
Yeah, but that includes the same live performance of Day the World Went Away as is on the CD.
Yeah, it has the video, I think, that Graham Wood directed. So part of it's a video, and then it transitions to the end being a live performance.
Yep.
So the Easter eggs. Blake, what's an Easter egg?
Well, do you need the full history of it, going back to early programming?
What are we referring to here, though?
Hidden songs and features that you can get to by pressing arcane buttons on your DVD remote controller, which we don't have.
Yeah.
But the PlayStation allowed us to get to most of them.
Yes.
So you're pressing stuff like up, down, left, right, BA, start, stuff like that.
So it includes the Starfuckers performance with Marilyn Manson at Madison Square Garden. It includes the TV spots. So there's like 1999, The Fragile, and Things Falling Apart. Those TV spots are included.
Yeah.
The Day the World Went Away video, and then a live performance of Reptile. And Blake has a little theory about this.
And it's a really cool performance, obviously. But I think that a joke about this was in the Meathead perspective, 23 years ago, but it's still worth pointing out. Reptile is a secret track on here that you have to press certain buttons at a certain time to get. If anyone played Mortal Kombat, Reptile was a secret character you could get to by pressing a certain combination of buttons at the right time. Was this intentional on Trent's part? Notorious video game lover? You tell me. I don't know. I just think it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a Rob Sheridan thing that he put in there.
Oh, you know what? Because he was the director of this whole thing. And God knows he's a nerd. That's probably it. And just when those two get together, it's nerd fucking city.
Also, the DVD on early copies of it had a message from Reznor. I think it was like a little sticker maybe on the DVD.
I had that. Yeah. No. Oh, I'm sorry. It's worth pointing out. It's not a sticker. It's a transparent piece of plastic that looks like a bookmark.
Oh, okay.
With like blue text on it. You have to like hold it up to a light to see it well.
Do you still have that?
It's in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't see it. We also got a little still insert that's like, go to this website to buy the still disc, which I wish we could still do, but we're 23 years late.
Okay. I didn't realize it was an actual like little insert or something.
The clear little bookmark type thing is cool. You'll have to look at it.
Yeah. Maybe you'll take a picture of it.
I'll post it.
Okay. And it says, just a glimpse, just a little reminder of a time and a place we used to live in. This DVD attempts to document the experience of Nine Inch Nails live, as we were in the summer of 2000. We filmed and recorded most of the dates of the North American Fragility 2.0 tour with home video cameras, then assembled, mixed, and edited this ourselves with our home computers. In my eyes, Fragility 2.0 was a summation of what we had accomplished up to this time, so this DVD serves as a reminder of achievement, as well as a departure point. This is almost what it felt like being there. Trent Reznor.
Almost what it felt like.
So when they promoted the DVD, not only did Rob Sheridan direct this DVD, but he also directed an MTV2 special called And All That Could Have Been Fragility 2.0 Tour. You can watch this special on his YouTube channel, again, if you want to watch it.
This is a very interesting Rob's first foray into a big directing project. It is ambitiously weird.
Yeah.
The direction.
The special was directed, conceptualized, and executed by Trent Reznor, Rob Sheridan, and Jeff Anderson. It contains footage from the And All That Could Have Been DVD release, as well as acoustic performances or performances from still.
Yeah.
And interviews with Jerome Dillon, Trent, Mom. Who else? Was Clouser one? Maybe Rob Sheridan himself.
Yeah, we get to see Rob kind of for the first time. Rob's debut.
And that footage was filmed specifically for this production, and everything, again, was produced and edited entirely in-house at Nothing Studios in New Orleans. And I think he spoke about why it was all done in-house and why they didn't, farm it out.
Can I say what?
Yeah.
The quote? He said, "We didn't need a filmmaker to come and put his stamp on it. And I was just thinking, this is like, we talked about Stop Making Sense a lot. This is not that. That very much has the director's Jonathan Demme's vision.
Actually, I was going to talk about that when we get to the DVD, because there are different types of performance DVDs or videos, and we'll kind of come back to that. I think that's important to point out. They had a website, andallthatcouldhavebeen.com. No longer exists. Sorry.
No.
And Rob Sheridan made a trailer. Can I play it?
Sure.
It says 18 songs, 5.1 digital surround sound, multiple camera angles, audio commentary, bonus features. Also available on VHS. I've never seen a VHS copy of this. Have you?
I don't know anyone who has the VHS. Let us know, but
yeah,
it would be hard to do the bonus features on that, the Easter eggs.
Maybe it would just you have to fast forward past the credits for a little bit until you get to yeah.
I'm glad we just let the music play there because it sounds awesome, and there's a reason that, you know, Just Like You Imagined was chosen to be the trailer music, because it's such a damn good performance. I'm sticking with that possibly being the best on here.
So before we get into the actual DVD like discussion of the performances on the DVD, I thought we'd talk about just some differences between Fragility 1.0 and Fragility 2.0.
Yeah.
So one of the differences we already kind of mentioned, right? There's that, at least with the set design for 1.0, they had like a big curtain that the band played behind, but I think it was also used, it said it was backlit as needed. So I guess when they're behind it, maybe it's backlit.
Yeah, and you'd see their shadows cast against it, their silhouettes.
And I don't know if it only started out with that backdrop or did they...
I think they pulled it away at some point in the first song.
Okay.
It would be pretty weird and ambitious to... No, because I've seen 1.0 performances of weird stuff like No You Don't and Into the Void where that's not there.
So was there one big screen behind them at least?
I think there might have been a single screen. They also had these weird chandelier-like things hanging.
Those were cool. It reminded me, they had lighting that reminded me more of the performance of The Fragile on the VMAs, right? Like the kind of...
weird cranes hanging over.
Like, the kind of tube lights.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And the set list varied kind of slightly. They had No You Don't. That was one thing they had that we didn't hear. Into the Void. The Way Out Is Through. He would play Down in It or Get Down, Make Love sometimes on that one. Wow. But an example of the encore, let's see. Their encore might include The Day the World Went Away, Starfuckers, Closer, and Hurt.
And, I mean, it opened with Somewhat Damaged, at least for some of it. Which
some of it did, yeah.
Can I talk about No You Don't for a second?
Yes.
Because it's one of my favorite album tracks, but I watched some performances of it from Fragility 1.0 to kind of see, like, why did they decide that this wasn't working? The sections of it that are the halftime drums, it's more just like a rock band. So, you know, real drums, real guitar, it sounds pretty damn good. Then when it goes to double time, and it's just a drum machine piped in for the chorus, it falls out of pocket slightly. Like, it's really hard to keep they're having trouble for whatever reason keeping the guitars in line with that sequenced drum beat. It doesn't sound as clean as the album. So I can kind of see where they would get frustrated and be like, this keeps falling out of pocket. We're just scrapping it. I think if they could have rearranged it to make the whole thing just a rock band done at halftime or whatever, or just, real drums.
Played with it more.
Right.
Until they found out
they probably
right
just
way.
didn't want to take the time or effort to rework the whole damn thing that they had just come out with anyway.
Yeah. What about Into the Void?
Into the Void didn't sound as good as the album version, but it sounded fine. It didn't fall out of pocket like No You Don't. I'm not totally sure why they decided against it. I don't know.
Why do you think they switched out? I call this like the fragile interlude, right? Where it gets really quiet. Why did they switch out The Way Out Is Through for The Mark Has Been Made?
I don't know. That's like a crime to me.
I wonder if they were kind of like, I don't know, maybe Bill Viola had something to do with that decision, do you think? At all? Because he was making the visual art for it. Like maybe...
It seems like that would be...
Maybe Reznor had different suggestions. Like what about, The Mark Has Been Made or The Way Out Is Through? Maybe Viola got to pick between the two. And I don't know.
Maybe if Reznor himself was completely torn. But I couldn't imagine Bill Viola actually being the one to make the decision. Maybe it was just another case of they weren't liking how it was going. And they were like, oh, The Mark Has Been Made. We can do easier. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. So those are some of the major playlist differences. Another big difference for Fragility 2.0 and 1.0, right? So Fragility 1.0, they just had a single screen, but they did have special effects that played during those 3 songs during the interview that I think David Carson made. Whereas Fragility 2.0, we got the Bill Viola videos, but they were not on one single screen. Instead, they were divided up. Well, there were there were 3 big screens.
There's a name for it.
What's the name, Blake?
It's the art concept known as the triptych. An image divided into 3 segments.
Yes.
It's an ancient art form. We'll probably talk about it more on an episode about art, right? Maybe. Because we'll
get more in depth, I'm sure.
Yeah, we don't need to add another hour here, but it's really cool. I just like this concept that the sort of movie is spread across 3 different screens with gaps between them.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it more, but the screens are actually above the band, and there are lights. Like the screens are actually projecting lights and different images down, but you probably couldn't see them if you were far away.
They're more subtle.
But if you were close to the stage and you looked up, you could see these images. And then there's a moment in Gave Up when the screens start to move.
Yeah.
And then they're behind the band instead of above them.
And they go from a horizontal orientation to vertical. They're just right above the band's heads to start with.
During Hurt, the closing song, there is one that is directly above, it looks like it's directly above Trent's head.
And they're they're at an angle.
Yeah.
And 45 degrees.
If that thing fell on someone, it would kill someone.
Right. You'd be a goner.
It really is scary how dangerous rock shows can be. Just last night, this is not the band's fault, but there was severe weather in the Chicago area, and the venue stage, at a
Morbid
venue,
Angel show.
Yes. The ceiling.
The whole fucking section of ceiling collapsed right in front of the stage or on the stage?
On top of the stage, basically. And I think there was one casualty.
People were under there. Fucked up.
There was the Great White. Several people died. They had pyrotechnics at a small, wasn't that it? It was a very small venue. And whenever we saw the Killers, they had pyrotechnics. And the whole time I was just looking around for an exit. How do I take my niece and run like hell?
No one should be doing fire anymore after Great White. Come on.
It freaked me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. And then we've had tons of people who have been crushed at concerts by, just people getting a little too excited for The Who and pushing and crushing people to try to get into a venue.
I love that.
You've had all kinds of horrible things happen at concerts, but it does make you think wow, concerts aren't really, one small thing could go wrong and someone could die. So
sure.
Yeah.
Travis Scott. I love that now Nine Inch Nails just fuck it. We're just going to do minimal stuff and light rigs on the ground, ground-based light rigs. Whereas in Fragility, we had 50-foot tall light arrays towering over the band in addition to these screens. It's just nutty stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty bonkers. Like he said, they were trying to do stuff that hadn't been done before.
Right.
Someone said that was the first time that LCD screens had been used like that. But then someone brought up that I think U2 during the Pop Mart tour had used some kind of early version, I think. I don't know. I didn't go to that tour. The only thing I know about that tour is there was like a giant lemon involved.
Was this the one where he was doing Mr. Mephistopheles?
No, I
or
think that
whatever?
was Zoo TV. Is that right?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. I don't either. I'm not like 90s era. I don't really know a lot about U2 to be able to say that.
I'm Mr. Mephisto or whatever he said.
I enjoy some U2 and early U2, but
with the LCD screens, I feel like the technology was newer as far as other than like a Jumbotron at a sports arena. You didn't really see that.
Yeah.
Like not at rock shows.
I think that one of the first Jumbotrons that was used was a Mark Brickman situation. I think it was at a Genesis concert.
Whoa.
Or a Genesis tour.
That makes sense.
I think, if I remember correctly, I read that on his Wikipedia tonight, but I don't hold me to that. I'm just remembering something. But I believe whenever you said Jumbotron, I was like, speaking of Jumbotrons.
Yeah.
And I think that tour was like the early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was...
It wasn't The Wall.
No, it was.
We're talking Genesis.
Yeah,
okay.
It wasn't like in the 70s or something.
Genesis in the early 90s. I don't know.
So before we talk about the DVD and our thoughts on it, do you want to take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break and then talk about that concert.
Okay. While you were gone, I looked up the VHS, and it does exist. Like, I didn't think it was a lie. I just never have seen one before, and it's one VHS, by the way.
But we have to have two. Well,
two DVDs.
Like it doesn't have the bonus content. I assume
that's what I would assume. I'm not certain how they would do that unless they brokened it, put it at the end. You have to fast forward.
Yeah, no space.
But yeah, and if anyone's interested, I found one for $30 on eBay. Plus $5.95 shipping. He said it's in very good condition. I would say it's in good condition looking at this box. So
I kind of wish they had come up with a way to put the whole concert uninterrupted on one DVD.
Yeah.
And maybe put the bonus material on
that does
a
kind of
second.
take you out of it a little bit.
Yeah. Complication ends abruptly and it's like put in disc 2. You pop in disc 2 and then Suck just starts blasting right into it. Yeah. That's a jump scare.
All right. Just want to go through this like track by track.
Yes.
All right. Pinion, The New Flesh. So how we start.
Mashup. Mm-hmm. As we talked about, I like it better than the CD. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good way to open. Terrible Lie.
Banger.
Obviously a banger. Mm-hmm. And can I just say right off the bat, and I'll ask you if you feel the same. Okay. I just like it more than the CD, hands down. When we talked about the CD, I talked about how I need the visual component. Turns out I was right. That just made the experience way, way better.
I would say if you can have a visual component, yes, it's always going to make the experience. Most of the time, it'll make it better.
Also, it's in 5.1. The CD obviously can't be. And we took the time to set it up correctly and test it using the very convenient 5.1 test screen that comes with this.
Was so excited. He was like, "Man, I needed a win today."
It wasn't because getting the PlayStation to communicate with the TV to communicate with the digital receiver was a nightmare. 5.1 is never straightforward. It seems, especially when you're using all this stuff. Had to change a lot of settings. Anyway, I got it to work, and felt like winning the lottery.
He was very excited about it.
The sound was worth it. You notice so much cool little stuff going on in the surrounds. And in the surround speakers, it's a lot of little electronic elements that I had literally never heard before.
Weird percussive elements sometimes. Yeah.
High pitched, dissonant scrapes and squeals. A lot of the crowd noise is put in the surrounds, which kind of makes you feel like you're there. It's just a better way to experience it. Then obviously having the LFE. Now that's industry speak for low frequency emitter, colloquially called the subwoofer. That makes it awesome. Just for that bass, you know. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to have surround to obviously to have that. But
Blake's all about that bass.
I'm all about the bass, like the lady said in the song.
Meghan Trainor.
Right.
Where is she now? I don't know. She's probably still making hits.
Literally still doing music. Yeah. Sin.
Bangs.
It's really cool to see Charlie work with the theremin, and the opening of Sin gets a nice theremin solo
instead of that weird sax.
Yeah, instead of a sped up sax sample, that's replaced by a theremin solo.
It is cool. Charlie was actually one of my favorite people to watch.
Yeah, well,
I mean, Robin's always fun to watch, and Reznor, obviously, but when it comes to the musicians, Charlie was fun to watch because he seems pretty collected, more so than the rest of the gang, and he's kind of off in his own little...
He's just a very cool guy.
Yeah, he's kind of off in his own little area, so like Reznor's not messing with him. He also has one of my favorite... I think he has my favorite fit on.
Okay, he has the advantages of outfit and the apparatus... the keyboard stand on this movable crane.
Oh, yeah, that crane. I think that crane rules.
I think he can do a full 360 with this thing. It's like this custom, God knows what it must have cost and the engineering involved. I'd like to know all the backstory to that custom keyboard stand. But the theremin's even like on a stand that can bend at different angles. And there's multiple keyboards on this stand. But yeah, that's a huge advantage that just makes him look cooler.
Yeah, and plus here's the thing is I'm a big fan of things like, in fashion, I like asymmetry. So I like things that are kind of off kilter a little bit. And he has a cuff, like on one arm, like a big leather custom.
I said he looks kind of cyberpunky.
He looks really cool.
One arm is the whole forearm cuff. The other arm has a small cuff. So asymmetrical.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And Jess could have sworn he had some sort of goth corset on, but
in one scene, the camera came up behind him, and of course, this is not filmed at one show.
Yep,
it's a series of different shows, so their costumes
you see slight variations in the outfits and major variations in Robin's hair.
Yes. So they're not really trying to make you think this is one performance, obviously, or things might have looked a little different.
It's really well done, but they don't even try to hide the fact that Trent's fragile artwork guitars, Les Pauls with the fragile finish, flowers and stuff, they don't even try to hide that those are changing mid song.
Which I think our intern said something about, like I think there were notes that he left us about how those look really cheap close up, but far away they're like Monet's. Wait,
maybe it's just impressionism.
Maybe that's what it is.
Impressionistic flowers.
It's like Clueless.
Fragile flowers.
Monet's.
I think those were getting destroyed. As we saw, we've seen still photos of some of them broken in half. So you break out a different one. But yeah, it's pretty obvious that they're kind of switching mid-song.
Yeah.
But still cool.
Still cool, yeah. But like the audio is seamless. Like you would think it's one performance if you were just,
Yeah, and it, for all we know, much of the audio, at least
I mean, I think it comes from several shows.
Yeah. But it'd be impossible to tell.
March of the Pigs.
Okay, March of the Pigs is amazing. Starts with "Hey you fucking pigs" as usual. A very bombastic performance of this one. Trent looking his most scary, possibly of his whole career. No,
what, during this song?
No, I'm just saying overall.
Oh well, the way that he's wearing makeup and eye makeup.
Plus cornstarch.
And the cornstarch, and he is just dripping with sweat from like the second song on.
Well, the way it works is he starts pure white, and he looks so ghoulish. He looks like a corpse.
And eventually he just looks like he's covered in grime.
You sweat it off, and it turns to mud.
He looks like a Dickensian character who's been cleaning chimneys all day or something.
It looks like David Copperfield.
The grime is just like in his neck.
It's rough. Yeah. Rough stuff.
And just dripping sweat. Like
definitely not trying to look pretty. I'll tell you that much.
No. He'll let Jerome look pretty.
He'll let Danny be the pretty boy. Trent does these fist thrusts during March of the Pigs that I love. You'd think this motion would go well with fist fuck in Wish, but no, he does it. I always love this. The shove it up inside. You can't see. I'm thrusting my fist.
Yeah.
Surprise lies.
Yeah.
Great little fist thing he does. You just got to see it.
Yeah. So Piggy, this is where we get some audience interaction.
Trent does crowd work in Piggy.
That's right.
But not before. If you're listening to the CD and you hear a loud crack that sounds like a mic reverberating off of his skull, it's Trent doing some head bashing with the microphone,
which I think he did that during performances in the Self-Destruct tour as well.
Yeah,
you would just bang it into his head.
We know more about how traumatic brain injury works now, so he doesn't do that anymore. But at the time, anyway, he toward the end of the song, when Nothing Can Stop Me Now is repeated over and over, he wouldn't do this anymore, but he kind of lets the crowd tear him apart. he gets out there and is just glad handing with the crowd.
There's a young woman who's almost sobbing.
That poor
maybe.
Woman. Yeah, I mean, crying, but also grabbing at Trent and screaming the lyrics. Well, then some bros who are just happy to be there, also screaming along, ripping locks of his hair out to keep. But it's pretty chaotic. And then he kind of like stumbles back onto the stage somehow, just in time to bang his arms against the keyboard to start doing the piano part, the end of Piggy.
Yeah. Next is the Frail.
Yep, of course that piano leads into the Frail. The chaos subsides for a minute so they can do the pretty piano piece.
And the Frail leads into...
obviously the Wretched. The first two Fragile tracks. The Wretched's just awesome. I mean, it was awesome live on the CD, even better with the visual component. Thoughts?
I don't have anything to add. I mean, these are all very good performances to watch and to listen to.
Yep, Robin's whipping some ass with his guitar work on the Wretched.
Definitely. Gave Up. So this performance of Gave Up is amazing.
Yep.
Maybe one of my favorites on this DVD. I love the lighting. The lighting is pure chaos.
The red and the blue.
Yes.
Looks like the cops are coming for you. Blinding.
The blueberries and the cherries.
Is that what they call it?
A long time ago, I was in high school and I was with a friend and we might have been smoking a joint in his car driving around in the country, and he saw a cop and he's like, "Oh fuck, the blueberries and the cherries." And I'd never heard that before in my life.
The old-fashioned cherry on top of the cop car, which is the single red light. I've heard that called a cherry.
No, he said blueberries and cherries.
I thought
the lights weren't on, but that's what he just referred to the cop as. So.
I always thought that was like a Captain Crunch variant. And then, okay, I like how now the screens come up. The screens go vertical during Gave Up.
And the lights are going especially insane.
The blueberries and cherries are going nuts on the screens.
I watched, is a special featurette on the DVD. That's Bill really Viola talking about all the different images and how they did them. But he's talking about the lights and he calls it the storm. Like it's just, he refers to those lights as like the storm.
Yeah, it's going nuts. Yeah. And then I like how at the end of the song, it blinks and goes to orange, like a broken orange.
Like the EP, yeah.
But then when Gave Up ends, it suddenly just goes, the screens go to blue. Oh yeah, they changed from the broken orange to blue, which is a more peaceful, calming, has a calming effect because it's leading into La Mer, right? And I like this transition better than on the CD that's missing La Mer, obviously.
Yeah, it's lovely because you have that juxtaposition of the ugly, one of the most like industrially metal-y songs, one of their harder songs in this performance. Yeah. And then you go into that beautiful piano piece.
Bill Viola, the storm metaphor also included the eye of the storm was these quieter songs in between the two broken songs.
Exactly. Because we said earlier it's sanctioned by Gave Up and by Wish.
Yeah. We have La Mer and Great Below and Mark Has Been Made, 3 Fragile tracks.
I call this the Fragile Interlude. I think
Sure.
I said that earlier. Yeah.
Another thing I really like about the screens, it's got really cool footage on it. But so from afar, it looks like it's just these really cool movies you're sort of watching. This cool imagery, like a lot of water stuff, which I think works great for La Mer and Great Below.
Like you see some ripples on the water. Yeah. The way they have it lit, like it kind of changes color. Right, there are different colors that the water changes into.
Little water droplets are great for the beginning of La Mer. And then like image of a woman.
That's
underwater.
towards the end.
Yeah. And then I think it's in Great Below, like fields of poppies.
Yeah, so he was talking about those. There are these insane poppy fields in California, I think, is where he filmed them. I want to go to these poppy fields. He said it's just hallucinatory. Like it's insane, these poppy fields. Is it like the scene Wizard of Oz again, where Dorothy falls asleep and it's just in that? That's what I imagine it looking like. I don't know where that was shot or anything about it, but yeah, I just think that's a really cool image, and I want to go to those fields because he was just talking about how much fun he had, how beautiful and how strange it is. I think he said hallucinatory actually. That those poppy fields are, and he was just like rolling around in them and
getting high off his ass.
He might have done shrooms. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know what he did. I don't think he did anything.
It was the poppy seed muffin. Remember that? Just like Seinfeld. I was saying I want a 4K transfer of just the movies from the screens so that we can just watch.
I think one of the David Carson videos was auctioned.
Oh shit!
I think I read that on NIN Wiki. Like in 2018, it was auctioned, and you can. Whoever bought it, sent some to ETS.
Yeah, but I want the Bill Viola one.
So you can watch it on ETS, I think. There's a link to it in NIN Wiki if you want to watch it. But
that's cool. But the Viola ones are particularly cool. It would just be nice to see a really high resolution. But anyway, when they do close shots of Trent standing like right in front of the screens or even touching the screens, it looks like pixel art.
Yeah, it's really cool.
With Trent's silhouette in front of the pixel art, which is not only is pixel art part of the Fragile era art, it's something that's kind of carried through his whole career off and on in Nin artwork. I just thought that was a really cool effect. In Great Below, I always loved, there's an upside down footage of like a woman falling into water.
I thought it was a man.
Oh, okay. Somebody is falling into water, but they're going up because it's upside down. And then right at the climax, on the downbeat, the feet hit the water and there's a upside down splash. It's just a really cool image. Great timing. Great audiovisual work there. But music wise, I noticed I really love Robbins does the harmonies on The Great Below. And I think his vocal stylings sound awesome there for those harmonies. Because on the record, it's Trent doing kind of a falsetto, but Robin has this more higher pitched, really unique voice that is always welcome on the for Nine Inch Nails live. Also, he does harmonies on Hurt at the end, which are also great.
So the mark has been made. Is the last in the
mark has been made. It has. The imagery looks like it's like green water.
I think you called it toxic slime or something.
You could see it as toxic slime or almost swamp-like.
It's what Trent was covered in the deep video.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the Shrek sauce. I can't believe I said Shrek sauce.
That's a great band name.
I think the Shrek sauce is what got Sonic the Hedgehog pregnant.
Oh.
My Tumblr fans will know what that is. Swamp-like imagery, I think, is great for The Mark Has Been Made because my mind's eye wants to think of like a swamp, especially toward the beginning of The Mark Has Been Made. I don't know why. If anyone else is
New Orleans? I don't know.
Sure. I mean, there's that NOLA influence. It's everywhere. Swampy. By the way, there's some cool swampy location footage in the Rob Sheridan directed the MTV2 thing. But yeah, then obviously the cool live only ending of Mark has been made, going straight into Wish, and Trent screams, hang on, I wrote it down, "Let's go fuckers," which we don't hear on the CD. No. But it kicks ass. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. And Wish is always a fucking
Wish always
banger.
bangs.
Yeah. After Wish, what happens?
This is not on the CD, obviously, and is one of the weirder selections, but another Fragile Instrumental, Complication, comes in, and it's the most psychedelic moment of the night. We get these really cool, like, computer graphics that turn into, like, really psychedelic looking Rorschach testy, but more colorful, just this cool trippy imagery going on, and it's just really quick paced and wild. It's fun.
It is good.
And then Trent does really wild vocalizations over the end of it too. Mm-hmm. And it ends fairly abruptly with Trent kind of yelping. And
then you're told to put in the next disc. And it's like, what is
cuts
this?
You right off. Insert disc 2, please.
It's like when I was a kid and we'd be laying there watching Braveheart or Gone with the Wind, and then suddenly time for tape 2. Yeah. And my mom would be like, "Jessica, get up." And I'd be like, "I don't want to."
Or Magnolia.
Oh, yeah.
That was on 2.
I think I watched that on VHS the first time too. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe I rented VHS for that.
My friend worked at a video store, so he would just bring home screeners and we'd watch them.
Ooh. So you take your DVD out, you put the second one in, and it just starts blasting Suck. The Suck is funky as hell.
Yeah.
Trent, you get to see Trent do his funky little dances with the guitar. Mm-hmm. This is one of the Trent guitar songs, but we already know it bangs. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is there to say?
Not a lot. It's good.
Suck, followed by
Closer.
The hit, Closer. We get the red imagery on the screens by Sheridan.
And Bird, Chris Bird, I think.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think red is also, for my mind's eye, red seems very appropriate. There's a sexy, dangerous mood to this blood red.
It's like Red Light Special, just like that.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. It's a little like Red Lava Lamp too.
Did Red Light Special also come out in 1994?
Yeah,
that was such a
so.
Horny year.
Man, that year was horny.
You got Red Light Special, you got Closer, and you got Boyz II Men's "I'll Make Love to You."
Yeah,
and you got like 6th grade Jessica just singing along to all of them.
Not knowing what the hell she was saying.
It's really weird to see, like, in 7th grade, like 12 and 13-year-olds dancing to "I'll Make Love to You." Can't even imagine what they're dancing to now.
3 different ways in that year to announce that you're horny. Boyz II Men, I will just the sweetest way, I'll treat you right. I'll make
That's
love
right.
to you.
Like you want me to, and I'll hold you tight.
Right.
Baby, all through the night.
TLC is...
I had that cassette. It bangs.
TLC said, "Look, I'm horny. We're doing this tonight."
Look, ladies are telling you how it is.
Ladies are doing it for themselves. And then 9 Inch Nails says, "I hate myself." And that's how
I hate
Trent
myself,
communicates
and
that he's horny.
Get away for a while by
maybe we'll fuck, maybe we won't. The important thing is I hate me.
Guess which one I most like.
He's just like me for real.
For real.
But Trent's kind of, plastering himself onto the red screen, and it's sensual. You didn't think so?
I think a lot of things he does are sensual.
Okay. Okay. It's a pretty straightforward, like the album mostly. It was really cool in surround. Robin's guitar solo in the bridge kind of goes around the surround. On the album, it goes back and forth in the stereo image. It goes all around. It's his guitar solo goes through the surround speakers and back up front again, kind of in a circle. That was a cool effect that I wasn't expecting. Oh, and by the way, the famous Closer motif piano at the very end, Danny gets to play it.
Danny's playing it.
At different times, Danny's on the keyboard. Sometimes Trent. Klauser's always on the keyboard. Danny gets to play it, and as he's playing those notes, Trent dumps a bunch of water directly. I think they're doing DX7s again. They don't really give you good shots of it, but they're the same size, and it's not that. It's only 5 years later. If it worked, if it wasn't broke, don't fix it. So it would make sense if they were continuing to use the DX7s, and they obviously didn't give a shit because they do break more keyboards, and dump water on it. It's just like Danny's trying to play this pretty little thing, and Trent's like, "Fuck your keyboard." Have an entire bottle of water.
Dumps a 1 liter bottle of Ozarka on him.
Ozarka. But he still finishes it like a pro.
Yeah.
Even though
Danny's a professional. Look.
Trent's being a bad little boy.
Mm-hmm. And that, I believe, is that the ending of the set until the encore?
No, head like a hole.
Oh, is Head Like a Hole the ender? Okay.
Yeah, goes straight into Head Like a Hole. Head Like a Hole is how many shows end with Head Like a Hole before the encore? Feels like every single one of them.
9 million shows.
Because, I mean, both the shows we saw had Head Like a Hole as the final pre-encore song. Anyway, Head Like a Hole is pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
And the bright white lights of Head Like a Hole, kind of like the red and blue and Gave Up, they kind of continued that even to this day, even to the 2022 tour. The bright white lights of Head Like a Hole, I don't know when that started, but that they continued to do that now.
Yeah.
Or on the last tour at least. So it's for a visual person like me, it's neat to have color cues for
Reptile. I mean, it's still green.
Yeah, Reptile's got to be green. I like I don't know if they were doing blue for the Day the World Went Away on this tour. I don't think they did. I know when we saw them, they did blue, and I was like, yes, that's how my mind processes this song. It's like they know what's in. It's like they know what's in my head for real.
For real. And
then Head Like a Hole ends. Thank you. We get 5 minutes of blinding strobe light. Imagine everyone's losing their mind, cheering for the encore, obviously, but imagine a strobe that doesn't stop. Some people are unaffected by it. And I don't have seizures from it, but it kind of hurts.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not that pleasant to look at a strobe for 5 minutes. I'm not going to lie. But I still enjoy myself.
A strobe light made me pee my pants when I was like 5 or 6.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What?
I went to like a 4-H haunted house when I was a kid. Like the 4-H club put it on in
You told
Marshfield.
me you were scared at a haunted house with the strobe light?
Well, okay. So one of the rooms you went to, it was a strobe light. And I was like a kid. I didn't know what a strobe light was. I'd never had a lot of or any interaction with one really. And when you walk into the room, it's just a bed. And then these girls start crawling out from under the bed, and you have a strobe light on, and so they're coming, and there's something, they're right there.
Yeah, the strobe makes it scarier.
Yeah,
was it kind of a slow strobe? Slower strobe?
I can't remember, but it scared the shit out of me, and I peed my pants and cried.
Oh my God.
And my dad had to carry me out of there. And so then the best comeback song ever after an encore break, Just Like You Imagined, the opening piano notes played by Klauser. Great way to come back for an encore. The whole thing bangs. I don't know what to say. It's really cool seeing all the guys get to do the big vocal harmony. Just the sounds great when I do it, right? Mm-hmm. Iconic though. Mm-hmm. I have some rehearsal footage of that. I'll play it in our bonus app, but you can also find it. But it's on YouTube.
I watched that long ago. I need to rewatch it.
Yeah,
so
we'll play it whenever we talk about the rehearsals. I was going to do it this set, but there was just too much to go over, and I was like, I can't record a 3-hour episode tonight.
Yeah,
so I'm going to incorporate that. Into
we have Trent on bass for this song, by the way, which is always really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. Every time Trent played bass, I was like, hey, is that Trent on bass?
Love to see Trent on the bass. I think he had a Stingray.
I like when he's slapping the bass. Sorry.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that bass, guys. Oh, Mike Garson piano solo replaced by another theremin solo, Charlie Klauser, which is, and It seemed a little improvisational, but just cool to see him work that theremin. Hard thing to play.
Do you think? I mean, the theremin's not a commonly known instrument for a lot of people. Like if I was 18 and at that show,
oh yeah,
I would not have known what a theremin is. Do you think a lot of the kids in the audience knew what a theremin was?
Probably not. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be that common of knowledge. You'd have to be
A Beach Boys fan.
That's a common misconception. Are you talking about Good Vibrations?
Yeah. Was that not a theremin?
It was a ribbon-controlled synth that is kind of like a theremin. But you know the Swarmatron that Trent and Mary Queen both used? It's controlled by a ribbon. It's
same concept?
Similar controller on the thing that the Beach Boys use for Good Vibrations. You can get you can hit notes more accularily with your finger on a ribbon.
Then you love the score of Ed Wood. I don't know what.
Yes. Now
or Mars Attacks. Was Mars Attacks theremin too?
Probably.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel like Mars Attacks was a tribute to Ed Wood in the best way. But yeah, it's a great score. Hard to play. If you want to hear more details about how it was done, listen to our interview with Klauser episode, but it was run through Rack Mount Auto Tune, so it would hit the notes more accurately.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's something that would be easy to play on.
No,
like
not at all.
In that kind of setting, especially.
You just have
with
to
the destructive Reznor, and
yeah, that's why he had to be on his own little island away from Trent, so Trent couldn't headbutt him while he was trying to do theremin.
And
solos.
I was asking, like, how expensive are theremins? Because I could just imagine Reznor at one point picking it up and like throwing it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, are there cheap theremins, or are they like really expensive? Because I don't know.
I imagine it'd probably be a Moog, if it was something Trent got.
Yeah.
Trying to find the old school one. I mean, Moog makes a $500 one. There's different levels of theremin. There's the Theramini, which is a more recent. It's kind of got like the built-in auto tune.
Is it tiny?
It's smaller, and that one's only $400. I think if you want like an original, obviously you're going to pay through the nose.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Starfuckers Inc.
Ah, yes. So fast, so very fast, but good energy. Again, this show is a more appropriate context for this song probably than the album. Love the bridge chanting, don't you? And we get to see him flip the bird as he says, well, fuck you.
We were watching a version from 1.0 tonight where he doesn't do that.
Yeah, it almost seems like he was kind of deciding on the fly, like, what am I going to do? Because he drops out for a while and he lets the crowd chant for a while, and it takes him a while to come back in. And he just he almost whispers, like, don't you?
Yeah.
And then just stick clicks, and then they're back in. But yeah, I'm sure they had 10 different shots of him doing that, and they chose the one where he does the best middle finger. Because I'm sure he didn't do it at all the shows.
Yeah. Stick Clicks, also a good band name. If anyone's looking for some band names, I'll help you.
Not good.
Stick Clicks.
It's an all drum. It's a drum circle band. Just a drum circle.
And
Starfuckers is followed by. Is that the penultimate?
That's the penultimate.
Damn. Talk about a mood shift going into Hurt after Starfuckers, because everybody's so fucking riled up. So yeah, Hurt. Very beautiful rendition of it here. There have been many iterations of Hurt.
Yeah.
This is not piano Hurt. It's Robin on his some sort of acoustic electric hybrid guitar. People don't get mad. I can't pinpoint it because I don't know much about it, but someone will tell me. It sounds cool. And by the way, Robin is playing something during. Is it Mark Has Been Made? It looks like a lute. It looks like an electric.
Oh yeah,
lute.
We fought over what it was.
Or La Mer. No, it's La Mer. I believe it's in La Mer. and what was like either a xylophone or some kind of bell or something is replaced by this lute that Robin does, and it's really, really cool. I just forgot to mention that. And then the Robin harmonies on Hurt, obviously, and Hurt's played pretty traditionally. And then the big dissonant Hurt ending.
The band starts to destroy instruments.
Shit gets broken.
Walks off stage, and Charlie scares Blake every time.
I didn't say he scared me.
Okay.
Strobe lights go nuts.
Uh-huh.
And Charlie jumps off his riser, stares out toward the crowd with like the intensity of a man gone mad, and his eyes appear to glow and turn reptilian.
They do.
It's the way the strobe is hitting them.
Yeah, it's not. There's nothing wrong. Like,
but
obviously,
they also look like slits, like a like a snake. I'm gonna post a clip of it, but please do yourself a favor. Watch Charlie's eyes at the end.
Blake made me watch it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, Jesse,
I had
Jesse,
to
look.
emphasize it. It weirds me out, and it did back the first time I saw it. I was like, "What the hell?" I thought maybe he had funny contacts in.
Yeah. But yeah, and then it ends.
And then it just sort of ends. Yeah. Credits kind of start rolling. Like they're already rolling by the time you see Charlie's eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no, after Hurt stops, we just get silent credits, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So we don't get a credit song or anything like that.
They credit the whole dang crew. So,
yeah.
So you might wonder, like, does Trent love this DVD? Does he love this performance? Is this something that he's proud of? Does he like to watch it?
I hope he's not as disappointed in it as he is with the Into the Void video.
Well,
and Deep.
I wouldn't say that. So there was a Q&A, and I think this is maybe around With Teeth era-ish, but a fan asked a question and said, "All That Could Have Been is one of my favorite Nin projects ever released. Whenever I watch it, I notice your performing style is so unique. Do you ever watch And All That Could Have Been yourself just for fun? And if you do, what is your favorite thing about it?
For fun.
And is it weird watching yourself perform?" And Reznor replied, "I can't watch it at all. I was sick for most of that tour, and I really don't think it was Nine Inch Nails at its best. I was certainly not at my best." So
that's a sad aspect. But the band, well, I mean, performances varied, and I've heard people's stories that
I think they varied a lot between like 1.0 and 2.0. Too.
Yeah, and just show to show, and some he was more sick than others, and maybe it was worse on 1.0. But the way this DVD is cobbled together, I think is a great presentation. Mm-hmm. Nothing to be ashamed of here. If there were flubs, they're not here in the DVD, obviously. No. They're showing them at their best.
I mean, but there are things like that, I think, in everyone's life, maybe. I know that I don't like to look at like pictures of myself in high school. I hate it. I destroyed most of them. I don't want to go back to that person, and I don't want to think about her.
Yeah, if you were at a place you're really not proud of.
Yeah.
In the throes of addiction, withdrawal,
or just depression, whatever. Yeah.
It makes sense you wouldn't want to go back to that. Like, why would you watch it for fun? Come on, kid.
We might talk about that some more in our next bonus ep. I don't want to get too into it. But.
If I were Trent now, I'd watch With Teeth tour and be like, I was so fucking jacked. Man, I look good. Man, God, I miss those days.
How did he find? He would not have time to work out like that. That's insane. Not anymore.
Not after 5 children. Think they're going to let him hit the gym as much as he used to?
His cardio is carrying those babies around.
Carrying 5 kids. Yeah.
All at once. Okay. Well, to lighten the mood a little bit, last episode, I read like a little Q&A thing about Jerome Dillon. This episode...
He's tall.
He's tall. These are all from Kerrang, and I thought I'd read Charlie's.
Cool.
A little Q&A from Kerrang real quick.
They ask about his outfit?
They did.
Or his eyes. Okay.
No, sorry. Question, where did you first meet Trent? And Clouser said, I was in LA doing a lot of drum and synth programming on Marilyn Manson's first record, which brought me into his world. Right from the beginning, I was extremely impressed by the amount of care the guy puts into stuff. He's never one to rubber stamp something and say it's good enough. I know that contributes to the slowness of our operation, but it's good in the long run because the fans know that they're getting something that's been sweated over. Did you ever think The Fragile would never get finished? And Charlie said, I thought we could see an end in sight when we had enough material to fill one disc. But Trent's quality control being what it is resulted in additional months fleshing it out to 2 discs. It didn't start to seem like a long time until the very last few months. How different is this tour to the last one? We're all a little bit older and a little calmer, at least in terms of before and after show activities. This may change as the months go on because I think the way we were behaving at the end of the last tour was a result of it being so long.
Yeah. They lost their damn minds.
Exactly. Hopefully we won't get bored out of our skulls and go quite so crazy and indulge in such hazardous behavior. But on stage, we're starting off with as much carnage as we had at the height of the last tour in terms of smashed equipment, band members flying into the audience, and that kind of hockey game violence. I'm very glad to see that it's every bit as violent and chaotic. So that is Charlie's Q&A from Kerrang.
Nice.
Do you want to go ahead and rate this?
Yeah, and as we talked about before, we'll rate each piece and then maybe give Halo 17 overall a final rating at the end. In out of 9 inches, I'm gonna give the DVD 10 inches.
Whoa!
Because I mean, I was thinking, is there anything I dislike about this concert movie? No, I couldn't really think of anything. And it gets that extra inch for just being very important to my teenage development and my love for the band. It was formative toward the height of my obsession with the band. As I spoke about, one of the first things I got super excited for, anticipating, and super stoked to watch it, and loved revisiting it after a really long time not seeing it. So gotta give it a 10.
Okay. I'm not sure how to rate this one. There's nothing technically wrong with it, and I enjoyed watching it, and I loved the lights, and I loved the videos. I guess the thing is I wasn't there, so that's kind of the bummer. Although I do think that the way it's filmed, they really do try to put the audience there as much as possible. The films that I truly, truly love and come back to a lot, I mean, it's going to be Stop Making Sense. And that's totally different, right? As you said, Rob was like, we didn't want some other person putting their stamp on this, right? So Jonathan Demme, Stop Making Sense is like pristine, right? Like it's filmed very precisely. It's on very film. Choreographed. It's
on film, and that makes a big visual difference as opposed to mini DV.
It's much more professional. It's much more choreographed. It's meant to look like one performance. No one's trying to.
It's also multiple nights.
It's multiple nights, yeah, but
at the same place though.
That is one of my favorites. I go to it. I just think it's amazing. We recently watched 101, which is very different. That's a Pennebaker documentary. And by the way, I looked this guy up. Well, I knew who he was before. Like, I just want to know how old he was, because I was like, he was making Bob Dylan movies and stuff. He was 64 years old when he made 101.
Take On the Road in the bus.
But you know what I was thinking is, like, we're always like I'm 40 and I'm exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
But it's because our jobs are soul taking.
Well, are sedentary as well.
Not that. Well, kind of. But we're also just at jobs that we don't necessarily are passionate about per se.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm passionate about something I'm doing, I'll
you're passionate about like your editing work, like
audio. Yeah. For that and for music, I'll do whatever it takes. Go to any length. I don't get tired easily doing that stuff.
Yeah.
But if it's, something stupid.
But it's also something like, he was on the road with them maybe for 3 months and then got to go home and edit this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, it's not the same. It's not like he's working 40 plus hours a week at a job he's just like about, just doing it he gets to follow like his creative dreams. So I was like, I could probably be 64 years old and doing something like that if it's something, and following Depeche, no problem.
Yeah. You'd be as excited as those teenagers following Depeche Mode around.
But that one's very different because it does follow the fans, right?
Yeah.
And we get some of their perspective too, right? It's a little bit different.
A lot of their perspective.
Yeah. And we also get to bond with fans in that movie. So they're very different.
It's not a typical concert. It's barely a concert movie at all. It's more like a rockumentary with a lot of concert footage.
Mm-hmm. It's cool though. But this is just basically a straight up performance.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's extremely entertaining. I just wish I could have been there.
Yeah.
But to me, there's nothing about it. Like, I don't think it's something that I would come back and watch again and again and again and again. Like I did Stop Making Sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Everybody has their things that they want to watch or listen to over and over, and this is not everyone's favorite, obviously.
But technically, there's nothing that I can think I dislike about it, so I can't like give it anything other than
but I mean, if it doesn't move you, then that means something that can affect a rating.
Yeah.
So I mean, give it whatever rating you want. But
I watch Closure all the time.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But see, I like to see the backstage footage, and I like to see the band just kind of hanging out, and I like to. You see the fans sometimes, but since it's mostly from their perspective, like you really only see them whenever Trent goes out to interact with them.
Yeah. When this came out, I watched it a bunch.
Yeah. I never owned it.
It stuck with me.
I never owned it. I think I watched it one other time before this. So I think I'm going to give this 8 inches.
Okay.
Because you're right. It didn't, well, I think it's great. It's not something that moved me like.
Yeah, we had different experiences at different points in our lives.
Definitely.
It is too important to me to not give that extra inch, you know.
Your extra inch makes mine a 9, though, technically.
You can't have my extra inch. I'm not donating it to you. It's mine.
I know people are going to hate me and yell at me for that.
No. I mean, a lot of people, I've heard from a bunch of people who prefer Beside You in Time.
Oh, yeah.
I understand the reason for that.
Oh, and one of our patrons asked me if there's something I've never seen before. And I've never seen Beside You in Time. So.
Okay, I guess it's time for truth. I guess it's truth time. Neither have I.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
For real?
I never owned it.
Yeah. Well, I bought it recently, but we haven't watched it. And I was like, well, we were kind of waiting during that era.
This is one of the things, I mean.
I didn't know that you had never watched it. Okay.
Between the two of us, we have listened to or watched almost every Nine Inch Nails thing ever. But there are a few exceptions to that we'll get to. And I'm kind of waiting for us to get there in the podcast now so it can be kind of fresh. And this is one of those.
And that way we'll get like a really fresh perspective from us too, because we've never seen it before.
So not everything is just going to be this nostalgic, like it's been with me forever and I love it. But I am very excited to see it because it's totally new and it's, high def, and I've heard their performances are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. 8.
Okay. 8 and a 10 and averaging to 9.
Perfect. Okay. So, next episode's coming up. We're going to do a bonus for our patrons. We're going to be talking about the Bahama rehearsals. That's right. The rehearsals were in the Bahamas.
We're going to call this bonus episode Rehearsals in Paradise. 9 Inch Nails Goes Caribbean.
That's right. And then we're also going to talk about the Chicago, the CRC sessions, the Chicago Recording Company sessions that inspired Still, because our next episode on the main feed will be part 3 of Halo 17, where we'll talk about Still. Which, spoiler alert, my favorite of the 3 components that make up Halo 17.
I think it may be everyone's favorite. Yeah. Still is a fan fave. I fucking love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get there. So we're going on a trip. Should we say that?
Yeah.
It throws off our podcasting schedule a little bit, but we are probably giving you something special, a special surprise in the main feed. And then after that,
the bonus. And no, after that will be the bonus, and then it'll be Still.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Yes, right. We're going to Chicago. We're going to visit some friends there. And by those friends, I mean Martin Gore and Dave Gahan. That's right. We're seeing Depeche Mode. It'll be amazing. So looking forward to seeing some friends there and meeting new friends there.
Official nailed Meetup 2.0.
That's right. So
looking forward to it.
It'll be fun. And Blake?
Yes.
How can our listeners get this bonus material?
We have 40-ish bonus episodes now you can listen to by going to patreon.com/nailedpod. If you subscribe, you not only get those, you get access to our listener Discord. You get merch store discounts, merch giveaways monthly, and other fringe benefits. So sign up for the Patreon. It helps us keep making the show.
Mm-hmm.
Nailedpod.com has links to all of our stuff. And please, on your podcast app of choice, subscribe, rate, and review if you're on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, please. There's other ways to support us other than...
If you got no money,
yeah,
write a review or give a 5-star. That helps us a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks if you've already done so, because we've got so many very nice, glowing reviews that are very kind and lift my spirits and give me the will to want to keep doing this.
That's true.
All the nice comments really just lift me up.
Whenever you're having a bad day, they're good to go to.
I mean, it's just like really can turn a bad day around.
Yeah.
So
I used to have an email folder at work that I called my bad day folder. And I would I would just keep emails where people were nice to me in there. So I would go read
like coworkers?
Yeah. Or people who were praising me or thanking me for something. So if I was having a bad day, I'll go out there and read it.
I'm going to keep an archive of nice comments about the podcast.
Yeah.
We have the email.
Anyway, I highly recommend a bad day folder if you're having a bad day folder or a bad day. If you're having a bad day, create a little folder, maybe a little album on your phone, something where you put your favorite funny memes, something that will cheer you up.
You can send us your thoughts at nailedpod@gmail.com, and maybe we'll put you in our bad day folder.
Or, if you want, we can read your thoughts on the Fragile Era on an upcoming episode.
Yeah, so send us thoughts on the Fragile, etc., and let us know if it's okay to read on the air.
Yeah, sometimes we don't want to talk. We'd like to hear other opinions and thoughts.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's everything.
Yeah.
And if you're going to Depeche Mode next week, look for us. We'll be there.
We'll see you in Chicago.
That's right.
April 4th through the 6th, at least.
Meet us by the Bean.
See you by the Bean.
That's what everyone in Chicago says. They're like, I'll see you by the Bean.
That's the new sign off. We're not, instead of saying, didn't that make you feel better? It's going to be, thanks for listening to Nailed. See you by the Bean.
All right. Sounds good.
Didn't that make you feel better?